when I look for a politician to vote for, I'm like, how many children does he not want to feed?
Yeah. Yep.
How many people does he want to stay hungry? Because I know I'm going because he's the one that's
We
gonna
need
lead
more
me to the
hungry
promised land.
children. Yep.
Yep.
Stop getting our dollars to hungry
Make
kids. Free
America
lunches.
hungry again.
Paid school lunches. I'm tired of free handouts at school. Make kids pay and learn the value of a dollar, right?
You know, we won 100% of the wars when people just couldn't read.
Dearly beloved, welcome to the Unblessed Podcast, where we inquire and exposit the mysteries of that ancient text, that good book itself, the Holy Bible. We are not theologians nor historians. We are but armchair philosophers who spent years in seminary or on a church staff and have since departed to make our own way. We invite you now to read, think, and laugh with us as we dive deep into the denominational doctrines of the divine in the Unblessed Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Unblessed Podcast. My name is Evan.
And I'm Scott.
And we are two ex-church planting slayers.
Slayers. Double kill.
Double kill, multi-kill.
That's for our boys in the audience.
Yeah,
Hi, boys.
That's boy talk. Hi, boys.
That's what they mean by locker room talk. Is that what they mean, Evan?
Dudes back and forth going, Slayer,
Just
Slayer,
Xbox
Slayer.
memes. What Pokemon cards do you have? Locker room
One
talk.
shot.
No, we never engaged in locker room talk. We weren't those types of boys.
I just asked somebody where the locker was.
Yeah, that's as much locker room talk as we had was, how do I get out of here fast enough?
My locker room talk was a little bit more just about genitalia. Like
A lot of just pee and poop jokes, I think,
was-
in mine. Yeah,
it was
just
like-
boy humor.
What's a taint? I've never heard that word before. Like that was where my vocabulary expanded. It wasn't like this girl's, knockers are so knocking.
Oh my God.
It was like
Knockerly, is that what you just said?
I said these girls' knockers are so knocking.
I guess
I didn't say knockerly anywhere in there.
I don't know what you're saying. Oh, you're on the other side of the locker room. You're screaming at me.
Hey. Well,
No, we're
are
not locker room talk boys. What kind of boys are we?
We are two ex-church planting pretty boys. Scott, did you ever try to plant a church as a pretty boy?
As a pretty boy, no. As a huge nerd, yes.
I beg to differ.
Oh yeah. I guess I was. I'll take it back. I was a huge pretty boy. Yeah, I was a walking celebrity everywhere I went. Just people on my signature.
Dude was a fucking walking eighth note.
Yeah.
Like just music wherever he went.
I was like eighth note, like a stick with a big butt. Or
Yep. And just odd hair.
an odd hair. Stupid. Yeah, I mean, I gave a whirl at church planting once, and it's still going. So I think I'm 1 for 1, which is more than some people, I would
Until
say.
it crashes. Like, do you lose if it crashes?
When do you count it as a loss?
Yeah,
'Cause-
when do you count it as a loss? Because, like, in theory, like some churches that have been founded like years ago,
yeah.
including the original church in Antioch.
If there's
like,
0 for 1. Like, what do you
that
count it as?
a failure?
Well, Evan, as a church plant, the goal is not to have your church be the biggest and the best. It's about planting other churches.
Oh, cool.
You
Then
should
why
know
do
that.
so many of them write books?
Why do so many of them fail after a
Yeah.
year? Yeah, church planting is what's funny to me looking back is I thought church planting was like a common vocab word that if people asked me what I did for a living and I just said, oh, I work at a church plant. I didn't realize until I was actually in the gig that like 80% of the population has no idea what that is. So I would be like, up to strangers and be like, "Oh, what do you do? Like, what's your job?" I'd be like, "Church planting." They'd be like, "What? So is that like a nursery, but for churches? Like, do you an arborist, church tree dresser?"
Are you a gardener?
So I realized fast that not a lot of people had an idea of what church planting was, which is really just startup company church, really.
Yep.
Just tech bros that are trying churches. And
Tech startup church.
it really was. It was, you know, it was certainly an experience. You learned a lot, but at the same time, you have a lot of people who have no idea what they're doing, trying to start a brand new business, essentially. Evan, do you have any idea what that's like?
Yes, absolutely. At the ripe age of 22, I tried to start my own church. And I had names for it. One of the names I came up with was Antioch Community Church.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Why did you pick Antioch Community Church?
Well, I'll tell you after I sneeze. Nope, it didn't come. That's amazing audio. And probably the best solution is that I just don't sneeze.
Just a big fat lie that you told.
Yep. Because I didn't want to use Baptist, but I thought community was, something we could build off of.
Had a nice ring to
And
it.
then Antioch was where Christians were first called Christians. So in the lost city of Indianapolis, we'd be honoring that place where people first called themselves Christians.
Amazing, truly. Because Indianapolis, as we all know, is such a decrepit and just sad and sinful state.
Sad and depressed.
Yeah. Indiana, let alone Indianapolis, unbelievably lost city of at least 10 million people lost.
Yep. Scott, we've both been around church plants and church planters.
Oh, have
Right.
we?
For those of you who haven't caught on, church planting is basically just starting a church.
Yeah.
From the ground.
You can just tell people I'm starting a church. Yeah.
You can do it from the ground up, or you can do it like Nepo baby style, like where just a church funds you to do it. But there's a lot to be said about the name of the church.
It's a big part of it.
Big part of it. So Scott, I've got a church name generator up. And I just want to discuss what these types of churches are. Give me the vibe of them.
Okay. I'm a chief vibe officer in my other life, so yeah.
This man's a CVO.
That's right.
So the first church, what is the vibe of Bible Restoration Church of the Lord of the City?
Oh my gosh. Bible Restoration of the Church.
Bible Restoration Church of the Lord of the City.
Church of the Lord of the City. Wow. Okay. The length of the name usually lends itself to like a more like gospel-y heavy, like Baptist church. I'm thinking like real kind of church, like gospel music, choir, because usually you have to like missionary Baptist of the greatest Savior of, the local communion. Like that's always a more local.
Of Clayburn, Alabama.
Yeah. Bible Restoration, though, makes it seem a little fundamentalist. So it's like a fundamentalist, but kind of gospel-y music, hometown kind of church.
This could go one of two ways. This could go independent Baptist, how you're saying. Mm-hmm. Or this could go Mormon.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think it's the Lord of the City, which would be hilarious for like a small town independent Baptist church to be called the Bible Restoration Church of the Lord of the City.
Of the Latter-day Saints.
Of the Latter-day Saints.
Yeah.
Next church.
Ready.
The Embrace.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that is okay. That is 100% it's like a mega church. But it's like in a strip mall. So they don't have like all the funds necessary to be like a huge like Hillsong kind of
Okay.
church, like Elevation Church, but they're big and they want to be bigger, and they're kind of lame.
They were an FYE once upon a time.
Definitely, yes. And they cleared it out, and they got a lot of money, and they have like a lot of those, like the girls with, like the big hats, you know, on stage with like big scarves, and they have like really drawn out worship services. Yeah, kind of like, what is it, like the Vineyard sort of style church.
Yep. I'm just gonna freeball it here for a second. This is the associate pastor welcoming you to the Embrace.
Go.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. We really appreciate you coming out here. Here at the Embrace, can I get a little bit more pad? A little bit more pad. Here at the Embrace, we're family, and everybody here is a family. You walk into this door, you're our family as well. And so right now, I just want everyone to give each other a hug. I know that it's flu season and that we're all concerned about our kids getting sick, but I want you to hug and kiss and shake the hands of everybody next to you. All right. Oh, by the way, my name's Tegan.
Yeah. My wife and my 7 children are up front.
Yep. I seem hip, but talk to me long enough, you'll find out I'm a little problematic.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of hate women.
Yeah. Except my smoking hot wife.
Yeah, love my smoking hot wife in the front row right here.
Yep.
Hit me with another one, Evan.
Next church, Discover Harvest Church.
That is your suburban, successful church plant.
Yes.
That is
they
one
have
that
like 3 in the
they
area.
do pop-up church every Sunday. So they meet in like.
Do you go to DH Southside?
Yeah, it's definitely, they have plants they just started. So it's DH Southside.
I go to Inner DH.
This is actually a great branding so far. DH Southside, DH Westside, DH Inner Core.
I go to DH Carmel.
I go to DH Geriatrics. I go to DH.
I go to DHL.
I go to DHL. Team, we witnessed the DHL drivers for DH.
We're a truck that is going 70 miles an hour for our worship service every single day. Our worship leaders are just strapped into the side of a semi.
They definitely have a pastor that has those like half goatees that are just like, it's not the mustache, it's just the goatee part. And it's white.
Yeah.
And he has like a big belly, and he's real friendly looking, kind of like Santa, but he also has like an arm tattoo. So you know he's like a real dude, you know, like he's seen stuff, and he does like prison ministry. Yeah. Discover Harvest. I'm going to go there.
This is my first little bit for Discover Harvest executive pastor.
Oh, okay.
Welcoming you to service. Hey, everybody, welcome. My name's Tim. I'm the executive pastor here at Discover Harvest, and we really appreciate everybody coming out today. We really appreciate you taking time out of your Sunday to come over to Discover Harvest Church.
That got a little WWE at the end.
The cream rises to the top.
I need 3 minutes in the ring with him.
Just give me 3 minutes with the Lord.
You're mine, Spider-Man.
All right, we'll do 2 more.
I'm loving this. I love vibing these out.
Next, celebrate. I want to, you give me your vibe. I'm going to give you my vibe on this.
Okay. Next, celebrate?
Celebrate.
Oh, just celebrate?
Just celebrate.
Celebrate church.
Nope, celebrate.
Oh, just celebrate.
Celebrate.
Am I hearing that right? Celebrate?
Like good times.
Like celebrate. Cellophane?
Celebrate. Nope.
Celebrate. Celebrate? No. Celebrate.
Not cellulose. Celebrate.
Celebrate. Celebrate.
Celebrate.
Celebrate. Celebrate. Okay. First of all, dumb name, so would never go there. If I saw a sign that just said celebrate, why would I go there? I would just think it's like one of those birthday yard signs. What a stupid church name. So if it said Celebrate Church or Celebrate Ministries, that's fine. But just Celebrate? Cellophane?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's celebrate.
I'm going to say that one is an old church that got, they decided by somehow someone's son took over as pastor who's real dopey, just is like, always wears like bad suits. And he's like, we got to rebrand this church. So instead of just like, East Side Christian Church, we're going to call it Celebrate because we're going to have a happy time every Sunday. We're going to have macaroni and cheese after every service. And everyone's like, this is a bad idea. But he's like, no, we got to do it. People are going to love it.
Do it.
And they got like 12 people every Sunday.
This is a good idea.
It's a great idea. Macaroni and cheese every Sunday. And root beer.
Macaroni and Jesus.
It's cheesy stuff like that. I've worked for churches like that where they try to do these like cheesy and corny, like, community outreaches. But they're like, what if we just passed out root beer to all the dads on Father's Day? Just like root beer everywhere. They'll come to church instantly.
So like they can get root beer anywhere else.
I have to go to church. That was the church I was at. That was their attempt at evangelizing. Anyway, what do you think about Celebrate Church?
I think it's already dead in the water. I think maybe same scenario, maybe someone's son, but as soon as he started it, dead. No one showed up.
He got like $800 to like do marketing, and he thought he's going to change the world. He's like, we got a lot of budget this year for marketing. We can really do some big things.
You know how on like American Idol, you would watch it and there was always somebody who was really convinced they were good at singing, and they get up in front of real judges and they have to go, I'm so sorry that someone has lied to you.
Ooh.
But you're not any good.
Aren't there a lot of pastors like that out there though? Oh my gosh.
That's what this was.
Oh, dude. I don't even care if people who worked at Church Punch with me are listening. I was part of some, not the one I was employed at, but other ones where I would volunteer at. They'd have pastors that could not preach. I mean, just stunk. Boring, monotone. And I just remember thinking, like, these people, they're delusional. Like, they think they're going to bring in people. Like, they can't even keep their own, like, wife awake during the service. Like, this is rough. But no one gave them a reality check. Everyone, after, service, we go, oh, great sermon, Pastor. Great sermon, Pastor. Way to go. Yeah.
Great sermon, Pastor.
Good set. Good set.
Really what I needed to hear.
Yeah. Really spoke to me. That one time when you said amen, you had a lot of feeling behind
that
it.
one part at the beginning, I remember that.
Before I fell asleep in my hands, I really liked what you said.
I really liked the part where you turned into a lizard and then rode away to Candyland. I might have been asleep.
Oh, God.
All right, last one.
Last one. Here we go. Make it a good one. Please.
It's too perfect. Ignite Church.
Shut up. Shut up. There's like, I bet there's 1,000 of those across America. 1,000.
Yep.
Like, I guarantee there's more than 100. I'd bet my life on that in the U.S.
Ignite's logo might be across it, might not. At the very least, it really is the like
well, it can't be a
fire.
cross.
It's the fire gym badge in Pokemon.
Yes, it's just a very simple looking flame.
Little flame.
Yeah, it's like the skateboard company. Yeah, whatever. It's like a little tiny flame. They are on a college campus, and they meet in like a movie theater, or they are in like a newer building that they built. Yeah. I can't decide if they're like huge worship set or if they're like more low key.
They did meet in an old building, and then that building had like mold in it or whatever. And
someone died.
By the grace of God, they were able to declare insurance on it. And
Declare. Thank you, God. We got 70% of the money we needed.
yeah. And now and while the renovations were happening, they were meeting in IU's basketball arena.
Yes. Excellent.
Every Sunday.
Because they knew the athletic director and he gave his blessing for them to meet there. He's kind of a big deal.
Yeah. And so.
And then there's a problematic worship leader.
Yeah.
That's there.
Problematic worship leader named Dan Jeans.
Dan Jeans.
Dan Jeans. You'd know you know him if you saw him.
Dan Jeans, he's just always eyeballing everybody in the crowd. A little too much.
A little too much. A little too skeezy. They have 57 pastors.
Yeah. 14 are discipleship pastors.
Yep. 30 are community group pastors.
Yep. One's a groundskeeper pastor, and one's a janitor pastor. One's a pastor to just the janitors. And then there's the janitor's wife that's also she can't be a pastor, so she's a lay leader.
Yeah, she's a children's minister of the ground.
She is the minister to the janitor's children's.
Yep.
There's 2 janitors, and she is ministers to those children only, and that's it.
Yep. And then there is an athletic pastor. He pastors to the athletes with NIL deals.
Well, there's the athletes pastor who actually reaches out to the athletes and does evangelism, and then there's the athletic pastor who's just a normal pastor, but just can slam dunk.
Okay.
Every sermon ends with him slam dunking on the court. Just they meet on the basketball court. I guess you could say that Jesus rose from the dead, kind of like me right now. I think I would go to Ignite Church.
Yeah, Ignite Church sounds fucking rad.
Yeah, definitely better than Celebrate. Free macaroni and cheese and root beer Sundays.
Celebrate's pastor currently goes to Ignite.
He does. He's doing research though. Like he goes.
He was like, if only I had a basketball arena.
Oh, gee, if only I had all this. Think about what the Lord would do. I don't know why he's from the Youper, but
shucks, boy. Well, if any church planters are listening, hopefully this gave you some inspiration.
Yeah.
I really look forward to seeing a lot of Celebrates out there.
If your church is named Celebrate and you fit the description, please email us. I would love to talk to you if you have a church named Celebrate.
Absolutely. Speaking of celebrating.
Speaking
of. Scott, what are we talking about today?
That's a great question. Let me check my notes. Okay, today we're talking about sheeps, and goats. Sheep and goats.
I want everyone to know that when Scott said, I'm going to check my notes, he picked up his Bible.
No, they were real notes.
And looked directly at his computer screen.
No, that's not true. I have a big old-timey book with a feather pen. Okay, I looked at my computer. But we're talking about Matthew 25 today. It's not the parable. It's really just the final judgment. Jesus laying down the hammer. So we got kind of a big passage here. So Matthew 25:31. You want me to take it away, Evan?
I'll take it away.
Go ahead.
When the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, he will sit on the glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before
Stop
him.
here. Pause. Okay. So we're going to make fun of me just rifling through my Bible pages for a quick laugh. A little audio treat for everybody. Evan can't say the word COME in any sentence without pausing and raising an eyebrow and hemming and hawing about it. And enough, Evan.
All right. I'll be more respectful
Take the
to our
Bible
listeners.
more respectfully, please.
No.
All right, start it again.
Yeah. When the Son of Man vagina is in his glory, and all the angels
God,
with him,
cancel
he
this.
will sit on his glorious throne. all the nations will be gathered.
Yeah, please
him.
continue.
And he will separate the people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, the king being God,
obviously,
God being the creator of the universe, come you who are blessed, come.
Stop.
I wasn't even struggling over come. I was struggling over the rest of it. Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you gave me these nuts. Then the righteous will answer him.
All right.
But the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to blah, 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 blah. And the king will reply, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. I want to pause right here because through my stumbling over myself, this passage is laying the groundwork of what one could argue is required for heaven. But Scott, according to Protestant theology, mainly,
yes,
the only thing that's required is grace.
You are 100% right. This verse is incorrect. Jesus is teaching incorrectly here.
Oh, Jesus is wrong.
According to Protestants. Yeah. I find it fascinating that I know you could say we're taking this passage out of context, but if you're going to just take these words of Jesus as they are, he's giving us, I wouldn't say necessarily a parable, but like an illustration of what it takes to enter the kingdom of God or to be in God's favor. And surprise, surprise, it's based on your actions and not necessarily your faith or what decisions you've made. But I think Protestants would like to balk at that and think that there's other verses that would support another way of getting into heaven. But
I would like to balk.
Please balk right away. I would like to
balk. But Scott, being a Christian and being saved by Jesus, having that complete transformation and reformation, that now informs who I am and informs me to make these decisions and be a better person. So isn't it then about Jesus still and about Jesus loving me?
Let me tell you why you're wrong on 8 different levels right here.
Wrong me, Daddy.
No. When I think about the way I grew up and like the theology I was consuming and trying to get, even more into, we would have to take verses like this and like flip them on their head. Because honestly, one of the reasons or one of the explanations of this verse I recall in college is that it's not about your actions. It's more about your identity as a sheep or as a goat. And you have to live in that identity. And so it's not about, do the right thing and do the right action, help others. It's more about know who you are in Christ first, and then the actions will come naturally, which sounds great, but I don't think that's what Jesus is really teaching. I don't think he's saying you have to know yourself and know that you're loved by God first. I think in these verses, the point he's trying to make is people who help others legitimately are of God or are the righteous ones. He's not thinking about what do you think about the crucifixion? Do you think Jesus died for your sins? And do you think that atoned for God's blah, blah, blah? He just wants to know, did you help people or not? Were you selfless or not? And I think Protestants take it make it so complicated that they can get out of actually serving others and doing work for people. And they can just say, well, I go to church and I just rest in my sonship or daughtership. But
I remember. So every year, the Children's Museum would do a annual campaign, and they would ask people. They would ask staff. They would ask anybody who bought food or purchased anything if they would want to, round up or add $1.
Yeah.
Towards the annual campaign. And I was behind this lady. I was getting food, and they're like, the lady was like, "All right, do you want to add, $1 to the annual campaign?" And the lady in line with me goes, "No, thank you. I donate to my church." And so I don't donate to anything else but my church.
Oh, Lord. I'm sure your church is doing a lot, too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just kind of stared at the clerk behind the counter, just kind of stared at me, and I stared at her, and I was like, all right, well.
Move along.
Yeah, she didn't need to know that information. She didn't ask you why. She was like.
I know so many people like that where, yeah, I will only volunteer and help my church because that's what, I'm always around. And the help that their church does is we're going to do a trunk or treat for the pastor's kids.
Yep.
And that's where their money goes to. It's how much is really hitting I know I've said this before, but I just recall for percentage wise, I don't even mind spelling out the numbers. The church plant I worked at, we had a budget of total budget for the year was $180,000 a year, which was not very much. I mean, if you think about it, a lot of people, that's, their whole household income, and we're trying to do a whole staff and everything. But out of the 180,000, so take out salaries, take out renting spaces, our budget for community outreach of that was, I believe, $1,500. So that was all we gave as far as our community fund that we had to help others for the year was $1,500, maybe $2,000, but it was no more than $2,000 for the year. And I just remember thinking well, yeah, that's all we can give, But I think about that as that's probably the normal percentage.
Yeah.
That a lot of churches, they might have $1 million budgets and they'll say, well, we gave $1,000 or $5,000 away. I'm like, yeah, but your budget is way over that. To caveat even more, there was a bigger church in Indianapolis that had this big fundraiser, and they gave away, I think it was $50,000 one Christmas, which the news got on it, and everybody on social media was like, "This is why we need churches. They're amazing. No other place would give this much money." And I'm just thinking, look at their budget. I want to know what their annual, because that's a big gift. Sure, that's really great, but let's see what their AV and lighting budget is for the year. I bet it's $40,000. It's so easy to blind yourself to what people can do when the whole of the church and the mission is really not doing that much. So give your dollar at the end of the day when you're checking out the line. Come on now. Yeah. Ridiculous. Crazy.
Round up for Riley.
Round up for Riley. Come on now.
Come on now.
Let's finish out the last part. We can keep chatting about this.
Then he will say to those on his left, "Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me no thing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in. I needed clothes, and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison, and you did not look after me." They will answer, "Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or needing clothes or sick or in prison, and did not help you?"
Help your brother.
He will reply, "Truly, I tell you, whatever you did not do for one of these, you did not do for me. Then they will go away to eternal punishment, but the righteous to eternal life." So, beginning, he sets the standard for what it is to get into heaven.
Yep.
And in the end, he says, and it's not even mistreatment.
No,
That's the thing. It's negligence. It's ignoring. Yes. It's, apathy.
Yeah.
Is the great, is the great sin here, I would say.
Yeah. It's tough because I've always been taught my whole life to ignore verses about works that were, somewhat, not ignore these verses, but I'll always explain them away as well, it's not about works. At the end of the day, it's about faith. As long as you pray a prayer of faith, you're good.
Yeah. As long as you're George Michaels, No.
Well, you gotta have faith. Dun, 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 dun. But I feel like churches would be so much better if they were works-based. I think about that so much, where if the main theology of church was like only those who help others and clothe and feed others are going to go to heaven, imagine how much good the church would be doing on a weekly basis. If it was all about giving things away, clothing people, feeding people, if that was the true mission, not about like getting people to say a prayer and convert.
Yeah.
That's what always makes me a little sick to my stomach of thinking about. And I think we blame Paul. I think that's who we got to blame for all this. He wrote a few books in the Bible and they got kind of famous, I guess.
I wouldn't call them books. They were letters.
And we ran with them.
Yeah.
Early church people decided this is the sauce. I like this. We don't have to do anything.
This. You see this guy, Paul? He can write. I can't read, but he sure can write.
We even have verse 41. It says, those on the left. So Democrats going to hell, right?
Those Democrats who don't want to feed people. Or
that's right.
Or don't want to let strangers into the country.
That's right. It's really these social programs that are really killing us, Evan. You know, they don't help people.
That's why when I look for a politician to vote for, I'm like, how many children does he not want to feed? How many? Yep. How many people does he want to stay hungry? Because I know I'm going, because he's the one we
need more hungry children. Yep. Stop getting our dollars to hungry kids.
Make America hungry again.
Paid school lunches. I'm tired of free handouts at school. Make kids pay and learn the value of a dollar, right?
You know, we won 100% of the wars when people just couldn't read.
People couldn't read. We won all the time. Just 100%.
People just couldn't fucking read.
Oh my gosh.
But now that everybody's just cracking open books.
Yeah, suddenly we got a huge problem on our hands.
Getting like opinions of shit. Now just people, they're like, oh, I can't go to war. I've got...
Me. I gotta get an education. I gotta follow my dreams.
I gotta get a job.
I gotta raise a family and have a nice life.
You know who else had a job? George motherfucking Washington.
So loud. I like the point you made though about this being negligence and not someone actively harming others. Yeah. I think that's like the most legit lesson from, and this section, like this title of the section is called The Final Judgment in Matthew. It's the final judgment.
This went on too long.
Sorry. So I think like this paints a picture of when Christ comes back, he's looking for people who just, I think it's simple. I keep saying it over and over, but it's theology and being a Christian has gotten so convoluted into like who you are and just like having a certain mindset. And like, you got to wake up and believe manifest your destiny as a son or a daughter and just kind of like, feel the Lord versus just like, be good, like help others. Just do good and help.
Which is more concrete? Which can you definitively prove to another human being?
Yeah, I think what Jesus is doing.
Yeah, the fact that like which one of these? The fact that today and every day since and every day after, you believe the same way and to the same extent and fervor that Christ is Lord. Or just regularly throughout your daily life, you just try to do best by other people.
But then how do you know if you've done enough then? That's always the pastor's response, Evan, is
how do you know if you believe enough?
How do you know you've done enough? You can only climb the ladder so high.
Like,
don't think about belief. Just works right now.
No. Shut up.
Shut up. Shut up, Billy. It makes sense.
That's always been my struggle with belief.
Yeah.
Is I think that's like where grace comes in is, not knowing whether or not you've done enough. As long as you've done, good in your life, and Jesus covered, like, I think that's maybe where you can add grace to the equation a little bit. But if you wanted to do the math that way, but with just belief, there's no way to ever satisfy that doubt in yourself.
Well,
that
Evan,
says, I don't know if I believe
that
enough.
They confirm your belief, but you got to have the belief first. But
Okay, well, what if you don't do anything?
My thought is it makes it a lot easier for these questions about like Jeffrey Dahmer and all these people like giving their life to Christ in prison, in their last days. And I remember being so grossed out by that as like a kid, and even growing up, I never have felt good about like, oh, people could just accept Christ like in prison of their last few days on earth, and it's fine. Like God's just you get the exact same reward as anybody else. And I feel like for God to be a fair and just God, that doesn't make sense that someone would like be on the mission field at, below minimum wage, fundraising their whole life, helping others, working in a clinic. And then you got someone else who has killed people or just been an asshole their whole life. And then they can just accept Christ at the end of the day. And like, it's the exact same. I know it's a parable of somebody in the Bible, but it just it's never felt right. That always felt like God should have a certain way of handling that where, I don't know, like there's like a late bloomers club where you're like, all right, you getting to heaven, but you got to like sit over here,
Watch it.
Watch it, buddy. Not too close.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what do you think about people converting that were assholes or lived a life of sin their whole life and then suddenly gave their life to Christ?
George Wallace, famed Alabama governor who said segregation now, segregation then, segregation forever.
Ooh.
Also said he originally was pro-integration. And then when he lost, he said, I can't say the full thing that he said, but he said, I'll never get out inwarded again.
Oh, my Lord.
And then swapped to segregation.
Jeez.
He's the guy in the picture of the University of Alabama standing in front of the University of Alabama preventing 2 black girls from entering the college and has to be forcibly removed by the National Guard. He forced his wife to run for governor when he couldn't for some reason. I think he just wasn't going to get the votes. And they were like, they like Lorraine. And she had cancer at the time.
Ooh.
If I'm remembering correctly. This man, at the end of his life, said that he's made peace with Christ.
Oh, boy.
And is sorry for what he did.
Well, give him a chance, Evan.
I know I shouldn't judge.
Yeah.
That sits with me.
Yeah.
Somebody who made it so difficult for so many people to just advance.
Yeah.
To just get to where they needed, not even get ahead, but get to where everybody else was.
Yeah.
Like he spent his entire life putting his boot on somebody else's neck. And then you're going to sit there and be like, well, of course he gets into heaven.
Even the thief on the cross could get into paradise. Even the thief on the cross.
But I will say, I feel like the thief on the cross is more of an Aladdin thief and not some,
yeah, he stole like a big piece of bread and an apple.
I don't think he's the fucking Riddler. Like, I feel like
he like grabbed a woman's ankle and they were like, all right, death. Like,
death for you. Like, I think like if that's the case, like I think the thief on the cross, like we like to build it up that like, oh, he was this criminal, he was this, he
was a murderer.
What about all the people he murdered? What murder? But no, like I think that if it's to be concisely what Jesus is saying here, then that thief literally like stole to feed himself.
Yeah, maybe he stole a baby.
Yeah,
maybe two babies.
Maybe it was a Raising Arizona situation where he couldn't have a kid, and then there were these quintuplets or these octuplets in town, and he decided that they had more than they could handle, and so he and Helen Hunt went and stole a baby.
Okay, well, thank you for spoiling Raising Arizona for all of us. Some of us haven't watched it.
That is the first 15 minutes of the fucking movie.
Okay, well, you spoiled 15 minutes of fun for me, so
well, it's
great.
also got John Goodman in it, so thank you.
Okay, again, spoilers. Now
And
I like being surprised by John Goodman when I go into movies. I just want to make like if he just pops up.
It's a nice surprise.
Yeah, it's a nice surprise. I'm like, oh, let's watch Flintstones.
Well, Scott, this seems to be pretty fun right here.
He sounds like a redneck who's drowning.
Yeah, I can't even do it.
A good John Goodman. It's almost like that's a little more Mitch McConnell. Rebooting.
I feel like the line between Mitch McConnell and John Goodman is
Fun.
whether or not somebody like drinks whiskey or is
A zombie.
a zombie. Which is a huge line.
Mitch McConnell is a beloved actor and talented and has a gigantic, fun, fuzzy spirit. And the other one's a literal dead person. Just reanimated somehow.
Oof.
Oh my God. I don't hear of it, John. Oh,
Congress, am I right?
but yeah, the whole idea of like the thief on the cross or whoever, Jeff Dahmer in a prison.
Did he commit his life to Christ at the end
I
of his
think he
life?
did it near the end. Yeah.
Well, good on Jeff Dahmer.
That's my point is like someone had to go.
Scott, he's a Christian.
Exactly.
He's a Christian. I did see this. I saw the inverse of this on a stand-up with this gay comedian. Was like, y'all got to understand, as soon as any of you straight men die, all we do is just make up that y'all did gay shit. They're like, I don't know, maybe. So it's like, oh, did you hear that Abraham Lincoln was gay? I heard some things.
I heard a few things. It's possible. Yeah, I just think
And
like
I think it's the same thing. Like, there's the like conflicting rumors about Darwin. And his family has come out and said, no, he never recanted anything. But he has like, there's always been
Christ at the end of his life.
Yeah, the like people who don't like the theory of evolution have been like, well, even Darwin didn't believe what he believed.
Yeah.
Or that even
Sure.
he, became a Christian at one point or whatever.
those arguments never make sense to me. It's like, well, he did. Like, even this person 250 years ago decided to give their life to Christ. I'm like, yeah, there was like no other option. Like
Yeah. They didn't have
Church was
Xbox.
there's no Xbox. Also, if you didn't go to church, you like couldn't get a job. It was like, wait, he's not a Christian. He's an atheist. Like, get out of our town. You couldn't just be an atheist in public. Like, no.
I think
Like
one
a
of my
witch hunt.
favorite old Christian celebrity stories is, I think it's J.R.R. Tolkien. Because we think of, Tolkien as like this,
So
like,
hot.
oh man, this hot, steamy author. But he was never okay with, and I think it's Tolkien. If it's not, please at me. But he was never, he was Catholic, I believe, or Anglican. What's the difference?
No, similar flavors.
This is turning into the best story.
Yeah.
But
Keep driving this train.
yeah. He was never okay with them reading the church or reading the Bible in English. And
of
so
course, yeah.
he would, as they would do the like stand and read stuff in churches, he would loudly say it in Latin.
What a butthole.
Like a big old church curmudgeon.
That is the curmudgeon energy at its finest. Is shouting Latin. That's the original church for curmudgeon.
Shouting Latin is the original. Shouting a dead language at anyone.
E pluribus unum. I don't know much Latin.
I know
Carpe
that one.
diem.
E pluribus unum means God bless America.
God. What's your final thought on this passage here, Evan?
On what? Oh, sheeps and goats.
Right. Yeah, sheeps and goats. No, John Goodman, actually. Never mind. Let's change.
Let's stick with JG.
Yeah.
I think what you had it right on the nail of the head earlier, that this is, if we're to declare this as final judgment, which this gets into a question of whether or not heaven is the final judgment or if there's a judgment afterwards. So if you die right now, you go to heaven, you're saved by grace, you get to be up there. But then at the end of it all, does God also look at you and go, okay, well, you didn't do anything with your life.
You didn't clothe all the naked people in heaven.
You didn't clothe all the naked people on earth. You just got to hang out in heaven for a little bit. So fuck you. You're going to hell. Opens up that question.
That's exactly how God's going to say it.
Fuck you.
You're going to hell. Just throw it.
But yeah, like I think that it's something that only gets preached in a like tension building moment where you're trying to steer someone away from hell.
Definitely.
But it's always that, God will say to the sheeps, on my right, you're good to enter into heaven. But on the left, you aren't. I ask you today, are you a sheep or are you a goat?
Are you on the left or you on the right, brother? Choose now.
Anyway,
no, it's not my left. Stage left.
I'm not a sheep. I didn't get a vaccine.
Yeah, I ain't no sheep. None of us should be sheep. We should be strong goats, billy goats.
Strong goats. Strong goats damned for hell.
Everyone go stage right. My left. No, wait, your left. Stage left.
My left.
Just get over here.
Scott, what are your final thoughts on sheepies and goaties?
Sheepies and goaties. Yeah, like I've mentioned, I think we overcomplicate theology. I do believe Jesus teaches different stuff than what Paul preached about and wrote about. And I think modern church really follows more of Paul than anything. I think Jesus, they say, is like the center of everything, but I think his teachings are always trumped by whatever Paul says about like grace and faith. And this has been the age-old debate. It's like with Martin Luther and everybody just trying to like be more and more progressive in their faith. And like, no, it's not about like going to church. It's about like your beliefs and blah, blah, blah. But we've gotten so far away that I think what I find really fascinating about Christianity nowadays is people will hold on to the identity of Christian and hold almost zero resemblance of what a Christian would be. It's like people can just say, I've met people that are like, yeah, I'm a Christian. And I'm like, oh, like what church do you go to? Well, I don't go to a church. It's like, oh, okay. It's like, do you like pray? Well, I don't really pray. Oh, like, do you read the Bible? Well, I don't really read the Bible.
What's the Bible?
Yeah. And it's just like, you like ask about what they do. They don't volunteer. They don't really like anything that would show that they follow a man named Jesus Christ on the daily. And it's like, it has such a stronghold on our country. And I mean, really the world, but of this identity of like, I have to be labeled as a Christian or else I'm not in the group. But people don't know why they're in the group. And I think I'd much rather be on the other side of just like, yeah, I just want to be a good person. I don't need to follow anybody to necessarily know what it means to be good and to, help others. But verses like this, I think I find enjoyable. I actually think this is something I could learn from. But I don't have to consider myself like a Christian, like to understand like, oh, it's about just helping others, even if you don't see the outcome right away. But
let me ask you this, Scott.
That's a lot of yapping,
How do you not believe in if there's no God, how do you not believe in him?
Boy, you got me there. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. I really appreciate it. You can visit us on unblessedpodcast.com or you can email us at unblessedpodcast.com at gmail.com.
There you go. Also, shout out to Eric Butts for today's episode suggestion. Eric Butts, thank you.
Eric, big talking butts.
Being our biggest fan, we appreciate you. Way to go.
We appreciate you and your nice glasses. Your
nice don't hair. Give away too much. Some people
wear glasses.
Give them some privacy, Evan.
Oh, sorry. And how you sometimes don't have glasses.
We'll never know. But thank you, Eric. Yeah, and other people can also please email us. We need suggestions. We want to hear your episode suggestions.
Yep. Please, dear God, we're not as creative as you think we are.
We're running out of ideas. We're running out of Bible fast.
Running out of Bible. Next, we'll be going to Jesus Wept.
That's right. Then the Book of Mormon.
Yep. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We really appreciate it. My name is Evan.
And I'm Scott.
And don't forget to not go to hell.